Frank Talley.
What's up?
You're live on your Lake Fork Out, dude.
Dude, no better place that I'd rather be.
Look at this thing out here, guys.
Hey, let me
Shine it up.
shine it up a little bit.
Oh, we'll touch it. I don't want to get burned, though. You have to earn the right to touch one of those, Frank Talley.
Oh, I got. Hey, a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then, you know.
Yeah, I've seen the rest of your trophy case. You got to be the best blind squirrel I've ever met. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Thursday Night Top Baits Live. We're getting thunderstruck on Talley's back porch, hanging out with an Elite Series trophy, hanging out with an Elite Series champion. Pretty big deal for a guy like me. I mean, I'm just a fishing guy, dude. Like, I didn't graduate from no school.
No, you graduated the school of hard knocks.
That's it. You got it. The hard knocks and ripping lips, baby. That's
right.
What it's all about, man. Hey, we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. It's going to be a little different tonight because I'm not at Lake Fork. I'm going to talk to you guys about Lake Fork bass fishing, talk to you about the top baits for the weekend, and then we're going to kick in with some baits for Central Texas because, Frank, where the heck am I?
You are in a little old town called Benton, Texas. Yeah, we're in the hub between Waco and Austin. So we've actually got, 3 lakes within relatively short distance of us. So, I mean, most of them are highland reservoirs, but we do have one good grass lake.
One good grass lake. It's like right over that hill right there. You live right by it. And what we doing? We going there in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to drop some grass.
Me and Frank going to go find some hydrillic gorillas, as old Mercer would say. We're going to go looking for them tomorrow and see how that works out. Should be some big fish on some videos coming up over the next week or two. Then on Saturday, we got a real special deal. We're going to go fish a charity or benefit tournament for Josh Bingham from, what's the name of his boat dealer?
Bingham Marine. It's over there on the dam of Lake Belton, which is a local lake here. And, we lost him to COVID. And so it's just a,
that's one that hit home. Josh was the same age as me, has kids just like I do, and fell victim to that awful disease that's been going around, unfortunately. So they asked me to donate a trip to help raise money for the benefit, and I couldn't be more honored to do that. And the fact that my schedule worked out where I could be here, hang out with my buddy, the Tank, and then we get to go be a part of that event, that's even all that much more better. So I'm looking forward to all that. It's going to be a great weekend. Hey, we appreciate you guys joining us as always. As you get in here, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up if you like these live streams. Also, be sure you drop a comment in the chat so we know who we're talking to tonight. And if you could, if you know how, because I'm too dumb, I don't. But please share this thing, because sharing is the number one way you guys can help us out. And
hey, sharing is caring.
Sharing's caring in a modern world, Big Frank. Sharing's
That's
caring.
right.
We got to do our thing. We got to say the hellos and how you doing to the early risers, Big Frank.
All right.
We got Gary Payne in the house.
Hey, Gary.
Junior Figueroa, Billy Snow, J.D., Ken Simpson, Brad Lamar, Michael Bray, RLS Outdoors, John Higginbotham, James Clifton, Fane 3, Dusty Smith, Todd Fleischer. That's the bus driver from Whiskey Myers right there. What's going on?
Oh, heck yeah.
He says he's talking to us from Cali this week. They were in Colorado like yesterday. So
were they?
They're getting around. Express Jack, Andrew Alphabet, and JD. There we go, man. There's the early risers. Hey, we missed your name. We apologize. We can't get to all of them. We appreciate you guys joining us. Anyways, Frank, it's done got cold up here in Northeast Texas.
Yes.
The water temps have dropped a lot. We've got them down to the lower 60s, some on Fork almost to 60 degrees. And what I have found is that has changed things on that lake drastically and in a hurry. We had that good fallback going, that one we all like, where you get back there in the dirt, you get shallow, the big gizzard shatter back there, and you can kind of throw a little bit of whatever you want as a winding bait. If it looks like a shad, you'll catch them. That deal's kind of come to a screeching halt these last couple of weeks with these cold fronts that we've had coming in. And what I found last couple of days this week is got to move back out to the main lake a little bit. Some of those fish are moving back out there in bridge pilings and funnel points in those creek arms, the creek arm bridges, and then main lake timber, man. Remember what Patrick did in November?
No.
I know you do, when he just opened it up on everybody.
I think my rear end's still just now healing from getting the kicking.
Well, he taught us all a very cool lesson about using that live sonar on the main lake on Fork in the fall, and that was at the end of November as well, which we're coming up to now. And it's time to get out there and start to live. If you're a live sonar guy, man, it's your time. It's your time to shine over everybody else. It's not always easy behind these cold fronts when you're behind them and you're dealing with post-frontal conditions and cool trending water. But really, that's what's been going on Fork. And that Alabama rig at jerkbait, it's going to be your best friend, an Alabama rig and a jerkbait right now, especially if you're trying to do the live sonar deal, which a lot of people are these days. But even just fishing the Alabama rig and the jerk bait around some main lake points with timber on them, or around really those bridge pilings and bridge aprons, is really probably the number one way to go. Man, you had some experience up there not too long ago in the fall when y'all fished that tournament. What do you think? How did you attack that event, and how did it go?
I mean, it was basically, I take fall as like a two-step approach. In other words, you have early fall and you have late fall. Early fall, basically the fish act just like they are when they're spawning.
Right.
They're going to move back. They're going to follow the bait
That's
back.
fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, when they come, once they've fed up and push that bait back, and that bait's migrated back, and then what's it naturally going to do? After it hits a certain temperature point of the water, that bait starts funneling back out. Mm-hmm. What do the fish do? They follow back out, and of course, naturally, shad's going to get around, you know, bridge piling's going to get around standing timber, that type of stuff, anything that's more vertical than horizontal. And so you can find them right there. I mean, it's a stopping point for them.
Absolutely.
You know, they have cover, and I'm talking about the bass. The bass have cover, plus they have a food source, you know, and so it's a, you know, perfect storm.
Well, in general, when fish get to moving around a lot, like they are right now, in the fall they move more than any other time of year. We've actually had some scientific studies that have proven that through tracking surveys on Lake Fork. But when fish move around a lot, one thing that I like to do, even if it's pre-spawn, post-spawn, early fall, late fall, you know, summer to fall transition, fall to winter transition, which we're kind of starting to get towards now. Anytime fish are moving along, one thing I really like to look for is what I call funnel points or pinch points. Now, those bridges and those creek arms on Lake Fork do an unbelievable, over-exaggerated job of creating that funnel point through that narrow gap in those bridges. But there's funnel points and pitch points throughout creek arms all over the lake.
Sure.
All over every lake. And to me, when you got fish moving a whole lot and it's kind of a little bit of a coin flip on whereabouts they're going to be, one of the things you can do to put the biggest percentage in your favor is to find the area where the creek gets the narrowest. Well, that's going to be where the fish get condensed the most.
Sure.
And so that's going to give you a little more odds of running into some of them groups as they move around.
No doubt. I mean, it's no different than like deer hunting.
Yeah.
Pinch points, you know,
Yes.
it funnels those deer where you want to, you know, see them. So in other words, it funnels the bass right where they're the easiest to catch and pinpoint, you know.
Now, is this considered Central Texas or South Texas?
No, this is Central Texas. This is actually HOT, the heart of Texas, right here.
But we are real close to South Texas, and they get pretty serious about deer hunting down here.
Yes, they do. That's why, I mean, hell.
My man's thinking about deer hunting over here.
Yeah, a little bit. But heck, we're going to go out on the lake tomorrow, and we might see 2 boats because opening weekend's Saturday. I mean, we're going to have the lake to ourselves. So I'm excited.
One of the best things about fall fishing is deer season.
Yes.
No doubt. It clears it out for you.
Clears it out, right. I'll be doing some deer hunting next week in Oklahoma, but right now we're focused on fishing.
That's right. And speaking of that, we're down here in Central Texas, around the Lake Belton area. Now we're going to go fish a grass lake tomorrow and then Lake Belton on Saturday. Frank, what's going on this grass lake? And then talk to me about Belton. What kind of baits are we going to be using in the central part of Texas this week?
Like at Stillhouse, we're going to fish Stillhouse. I mean, and it's a grass lake. It's gin clear. When I say gin clear, you can see 10, 12 foot down, you know, full of hydrilla, like the best hydrilla around. I mean, you're going to be amazed when you see how healthy and lush this stuff is. And it grows out to about 25 to 30 foot.
I haven't slept all week thinking about hydrilla since you told me that.
Yes.
So.
And, you know, because of the water clarity, the grass grows a lot deeper. So, I mean, a lot of it's topped out in 15, 18 foot. But, you know, there's a lot of it that's 25 or so foot deep. So, I mean, we're going to target. Tomorrow's supposed to be a bluebird sky. Of course, it is after a front. So, I mean, they ought to be hunkered down in the grass pretty good. So, you know, we're going to try to drop some baits on them. You know,
big jig.
Big jig, 1.5 ounce tungsten, drop down, and braid when you hear that. You know, it's over.
I watched the old Hackney show on Zona when they were on Lake Welsh up there. They hole jumped me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Greg Hackney and Mark Zona, they are some hole buzzards, man.
Oh, Zona and Hackney?
Hole buzzards.
Buzzards, but then they'll cut your throat.
Buzzards. They went up there on Welsh and they was punching that grass, and old Hackney was on there loud. Watch last night, man. Just lean on them. Just lean. You got the big line, that bigger. Just lean on them and let that braid sing to you. Hey,
there's nothing like it.
I'm
just
in,
hearing
baby.
It, you know,
I'm in on that deal.
And if we can get them active, you know, tomorrow too, we're going to throw a little bit of top water on them, and we're going to throw a little bit of chatterbaiting on them, you know. But
I brought a couple of baits with me.
Yes.
You said clear water and grass. I did bring a couple baits with me that are about as big as my forearm. You know, there's swim baits that are like this big.
Well, and I don't know much about glide baits, and that's your expertise. I have one in my office. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it? It's in a box. Roman made. Is that any good? Is Roman made any good?
Well, listen,
I mean, it
folks,
sounds like it's made in.
If I call y'all for bail money, you'll know what I stole from Frank.
Yeah, it's a big old piece of wood.
Man, that's like next month's mortgage where I'm from. What are you talking about? That sucker is high dollar now.
Roman made. That's all I know.
No, but I did. We're going to a Clearwater Grass Lake. We're going to try to punch. We both love to punch. We want to punch. That's what we want to do. But I did want to bring some big baits down here. You get Clearwater, you get grass, you get fall fishing. Man, they're wanting to eat some big shad and big baits, and I can't resist that. I want to throw a big bait around a little bit.
Well, yeah, and this is a lake. Honestly, it doesn't have.
It's got giant bass in it.
It's got giants.
That's
I
the
mean,
deal,
when
yeah.
we say giants, we're not talking about them 5 and 6s.
No,
we're
it's
talking
got
about
giant
double-digit fish. 10+ pound fish, and with your expertise on a swim bait and a glide bait and that type of stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if you do hook into one of them big son of guns. Because you got a better chance of landing them that way than landing them in 20 foot in heavy hydrilla.
No doubt.
I mean, they'll bury up in there quick. But
I would love to do it. Here's the only problem I foresee with any of this game plan that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Is if they're biting that big jig in that grass, it's going to be really hard for me to throw that big bait enough to get a bite on it.
To get a bite on it.
Because every time you set the hook on one of the grass, I'm going to be like, man, I don't know about this big bait thing. So, Lake Belton, different story.
Totally different
story. So what are we going to do to attack Lake Belton this weekend?
Lake Belton's more of a highland reservoir. A lot of rock, a lot of timber. Timber on you got the old lake line with the old bank line, which has got full of standing timber, and then you've got up north on the north end, it's a lot of standing timber too. Up north, pretty dingy water, foot and a half visibility. Mid lake, you're at about 2.5 to 3 foot visibility, and then south end, another 7 or 8 foot of visibility.
Wow.
But the good thing about Belton is it's got smallies.
Yeah.
And it's got some smallmouth in it, and smallmouth like to bite. So
yeah. Even when it gets cold.
Yeah, actually, it's some of the best fishing.
Right.
Summertime, we go fishing over there. In the heat of the summer, you got to catch them at night most of the time.
Smallmouth,
the smallmouth, because they just they don't like that heat during the middle of the day. So, but there, cranking, square billing, spinnerbait, some top water, no doubt. I mean, there's brush piles and that type of stuff. But since we're fishing an 8-hour day over there, I mean, we're going to go for the jugular. We're going to fish. We're going to power fish them.
Absolutely.
We're going to throw a little thunder cricket around. We're going to do some stuff like that. But all in all, you can catch them cranking pretty good in top water.
Okay.
So,
what kind of water temperature have you been seeing down here in this part of the world?
70 degrees, like
around 70.
Right around 70,
Wow.
69 to 71.
So that's a big change from a few hours north of here where I came from, where we've got 60-degree water in a lot of our lakes up there. I went to Lake of the Ponds and Lake Fork in the last week, and both of them were hovering in the shallow water areas. Both of them were hovering right around 60, 61, and you get on the main lakes about 63. So that's a big difference.
Big difference, yeah. So you guys are a little more, ahead up there.
We just had a couple more cold fronts that have gotten cold enough.
Sure.
At night to knock it down.
Being a couple 100 miles north of here, basically it's, that's part of it. But the fishing starts getting good when that water comes out of the upper 70s and starts falling down into the 60s here. That's when those fish seem to trigger and turn on. I think it's going to be, even with a post front day tomorrow, it's going to be we should get some bites.
I guess just stay tuned and follow on all the platforms of me and Frank the Tank, because I got news from my guide customers next week. If they're biting as good as they might be from what he just said, I'm not real sure I'm going to make my guide trips at the beginning of next week. I may just stay. I might move in, Frank.
Might just move in. That's right. That's right.
Just stay here and keep catching them.
Yeah, just leave the light bill money on the counter. We'll take care of you.
I'll just call my guide customer, tell them to come down here, and they can just pay you.
Yeah.
They'll pay my rent for me. How about that?
Hey, that's what I'm
We
talking
can work
about.
this deal out.
That's
man.
right. We got Cookie the camp chef,
Listen,
my wife. Yeah, I mean, she can cook everything.
I'm a businessman and negotiator from way back. We can make a deal.
Let's make a deal.
Let's see if we got any questions to answer tonight. Boy, I just scroll way back. Let's see what we got in the comments. C-Box says, hey, Talley, tell me, he wants you to tell me to fish tournaments.
Oh, you want to fish some? Yeah, he needs to fish some tournaments.
I do. I wish I could. It's a family decision there with the kids, man. tell them you did the same deal.
That's right. I did.
When until your kids got grown, you kind of stayed home too.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I sure did. It was so important. I mean, and I understand where Billy's at. You've got, young kids, and, you want to be a part of their life. You want to coach their soccer teams or baseball. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. And there's nothing you can get fishing back at any age, but you can't get your kids' childhood back. And so being around them, and that's just more important. And I commend Billy for being a family man, like myself, because I mean, that's what it's about. If it isn't for my kids and my wife, that's the only thing that really matters in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely, I think it's one of the things that we definitely draws us together. We get along with. We kind of understand and have walked a similar path on that deal. Anthony Carbajal wants to know: do we start off shallow early morning or go straight to the deeper part of the main lake points? I would say for Lake Fork, specifically for Lake Fork, I would lean towards that main lake stuff, and I'd probably spend the majority of my day out there. I would do that, and then I would do some transitional areas. Some main lake or mouth of creek docks that had some creek channel swings by them, some transitional water, quick change of depth areas with maybe some docks and brush around it, something like that. But mostly, I'm going to probably spend most of my day tomorrow on Lake Fork, on the main lake, on, standing timberlines, bridges, stuff we talked about earlier. I would not be really wanting to go super shallow tomorrow on Lake Fork if it was me. Down here, positional wise on the lake, backs of creeks, main lake, what do you think, Frank? Down here?
Most likely back to middle ways back on creeks. There'll be some main lake stuff, but day in and day out, I'm going to fish halfway back in the creeks to all the way back still, because it's 70-degree water still. So
what I was going to say, we were a week and a half ago on Lake Fork, we had 70-degree water.
Right.
I'd be like, get to the back, go as far back as you can, Jack. Don't worry about them duck hunters, kick them out of the way, and go catch them all under that grass. But
it's coot season.
Yeah, something like that. Things have changed up there on Fork over the last couple weeks, and things change in the fall. They change fast, and when you get down to the lower part of the 60s, and that main lake water temperature starts getting down to that 63, 62 mark, man, that changes things.
Sure, they put that feedback.
That moves those fish around. It really does. So.
Yes, it does. Good question, though, Anthony.
Yep. Same question there. Frank said, as Frank fished with his dad out in California and fished against Aaron Martins and his mom, how did Martins passing affect you, Frank? Aaron Martins did pass. We talked about him on Sunday night on the podcast. We lost Aaron Martins over the last week.
Yeah, that's a good question. It bugged me. Me and my wife talked about it quite a bit, and I haven't been around Aaron probably a lot in several years, just for the fact that he lives in Alabama, I live in Texas, but that guy is his. Every video, every YouTube, every Instagram says what he is. He was a man's man, the best of the best. I mean, the dude was as good as it gets. But yeah, it affected me not only as a friend of Aaron's, but also as a, just a human being. I mean, you don't want to see anybody go through that. And having kids, again, like we talked about, we're family men, and having kids young like that, it tore my heart up. I think for Leslie, his wife, and I pray for him every night that, she finds some solitude and some comfort, because it's a tough road. I mean, that man was a good man, but he's also the provider for him, and I mean, your whole world's changed, and it's just a bad deal. I don't wish that upon anybody, of course, but he was, it affected me more as like for his family and his wife and kids, because that, I know he was a good Christian man and he was going to heaven. So that, for Aaron, I'm glad he isn't suffering anymore, but in the same sense, I'm I'm more concerned about his wife right now and his kids, because, they're going to have to find their way. I mean, it's a bad deal. Yeah,
it was a tragedy. There's no doubt about it, man. So it's always weird, it's kind of, bass fishing is kind of a big family, especially on the professional tournament level where you guys are. As a real fraternity feel into it, family feel into it, and it's a pretty small group in the grand scheme of things.
Sure.
Compared to other industries out there, and so when you got that small group, having one thing like that happen sends a shockwave to everybody, man.
It's a reality.
It's just an awful deal.
Yeah.
And this is so cliche or whatever, but through this whole COVID thing and everything else, people ask me my personal opinions on it about getting vaccinated or not getting vaccinated, or the politics that gotten involved and all that are so messy, and there's so many unknowns and uncertainties to it. And I said, listen, here it is. Whether you decide to get vaccinated, whether you decide not to get vaccinated, whether you decide to whatever you decide to do, quarantine, not quarantine, I don't care. Mask, no mask, whatever. Here's what we all need to do, and here's what I've done. I'm gonna go live my life the best way that I know how. I'm going to do what I want without bringing danger to others to the best of my ability, but I'm going to enjoy myself every single day. Because one thing that we know more now in today's age than we ever have before as a human race is tomorrow ain't promised.
It isn't guaranteed. That's
it ain't
right.
promised. So tomorrow, me and Frank fishing to go harass the hell out of every bass on Stillhouse, and whether we catching them or not, we're going to have more fun than we should be allowed to have. And we're going to have a good time tomorrow night when we eat dinner together, and then we're going to go have a good time on Saturday, and we're just going to do that every day.
Sure.
Whether it's a guide trip, whether it's a soccer game, or whether it's me and Frank just getting after them on Stillhouse, it don't matter. Just go enjoy your life, guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Go enjoy your life because, man, and as bad as things are with Aaron's family, I mean, that's what they need to do. They need to try to, appreciate the time they have with them, and they need to try to find any little way they can to enjoy life because these days just aren't promised.
I agree. Well said, no doubt.
Big old knuckles in the way. We got a Frank question. Frank, what's your go-to bait for fall when water temps get below 65 degrees? Favorite bait, water temps below 65 degrees in the fall. Frank, what do you think?
I'm a Balsal crankbait, man, to be honest with you.
Dude, I saw a box out there. I was walking through his garage when I got here earlier, and he was letting me borrow a rag, wiping the boat down, whatever. I'm walking by there, and we're looking at all the strike. Frank's sponsored by Strike King, and he's got this huge wall of Strike King stuff all over the wall. And I see this one box, and I see a little deal on the bottom side of it that says Balsa Cranks. I went, ooh, let me see that. Like it had a magnet to my hand, dude, when I seen that one.
Some trick stuff in there. Yeah,
Talk to me about a Balsa Crankbait. Why is it so good in the cold water in the fall? Talk to me.
Honestly, the reason why is because of what it's made out of, balsa. Meaning, there's several different kinds of balsa crankbaits. Some of you that aren't familiar with them, you have a wide body for a bigger wobble, more for shallow wood type stuff, and then you have what's called the flat-sided balsal, which is a thin, real
flat-sided crankbait.
Yeah, flat-sided crankbait.
Tight wiggle. Like a rattle trap with a bill.
That's right. And, the cooler the water temperature gets, that's what you kind of want to lean towards. And but fish are keyed in, just like we talked about earlier in the show. Fish are keyed into shad this time of year, whether they're gizzards, threadfin, whatever. And if you don't have shad in your neck of the woods, you have Cisco, alewife, that smelt, that type of stuff. The bottom line is you want something that's going to imitate that. And when the water gets colder, naturally they don't move. They're going to be more like
tighten up.
Yeah. So, balsal crankbait is a heck of a way to imitate them and get a lot of bites.
As the water gets cooler and those fish get more reluctant to bite, do you think that the quietness, because the balsal crankbait is kind of also known for being a silent bait, quiet bait, like a sneaky finesse type of crankbait, and so the noise factor is much less on a balsal crankbait than it is on a plastic. Do you think that having less noise as the fish are more reluctant to bite when the water temp's cool, does that have anything to do with it?
I think it does a little bit, but more importantly, it's like those fish have seen nothing but baits for 8 months straight. Like since February, March.
It's been fishing season.
And so they have been schooled and educated to everything that can be thrown at them, day in and day out. Well, even though the pressure on the lake has gotten less because of, like we spoke about, whether it's deer season, the holidays, whatever, those fish the fish are still educated, and so you give them something different to look at that looks, realistic, and they haven't seen it because nobody wants to throw a balsal crankbait in the summertime, even though that actually, different balsal crankbaits are great in the summertime around wood, that type of stuff. But what I'm getting at is they haven't seen a lot of it. It can be dynamite. No doubt. I'm going to throw one. I'm not a big fan of throwing them, Billy, around rock only because they're so fragile.
Yeah.
Put the air quotes up. The bills will break real easy and stuff. But, you can, as long as you're just not beating the bill into the rocks, and you're fishing 45-degree banks, that type of stuff. Are you going to throw a balsal crankbait on Belton Sunday? A little bit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll throw a little bit.
We got to go on a covert mission and steal some balsal baits tomorrow night while I'm here.
Well, yeah.
Frank's old. He goes to bed early. I'm just going to wait till he goes to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like...
We'll go there and grab me. He doesn't show me where they are. I'm going to go there and grab me a couple. Is it Tiger Truce time yet on Fork? Not yet. I really throw that color, that particular color, is a pre-spawn only deal. It's later in the lipless crankbait season for me. And the reason that is because that's when the water gets dirty. You know, you start getting that time of year in January, February, you start getting some of them early, late winter, early spring rains. And then also less grass in the lake after wintertime.
Yes.
The water dirties up and it stays dirty. The dirtiest water of the year is usually during that pre-spawn period in some of the backs of those creeks. That's also the water that gets the warmest. When we have warming trends is where the water dirties up the most. It just all works together that way, happens to happen that way. So I find myself fishing a lot of dirty water during the pre-spawn period on Lake Fork, and that is when that Tiger Truce color is the deal. It's bright orange, it's bright chartreuse, it's two tones, so when it vibrates, it really pulsates and flashes that hard contrasting color. And so it's that dirty water time of year on those warming trends is really when I like that Tiger Truce crankbait. So I really only throw that, honestly, for a few months of the year. Now, I will, on an off whim, throw that color just as a wild card every once in a while, see if I can get a bite when I'm not getting bit. But for the most part, I throw it January, February, a little bit of March, and then we're done.
I had a few of them hanging in my garage. I'm not gonna lie.
There is some Tiger Truce crankbaits in there.
He said, "Oh, that's an awesome color right there."
It's my color.
Yes.
They didn't put my name on it. It's my color.
That's your color. They brought it back.
Yes, that color was dead and gone till I had some in my boat, and then we made a video where we caught like 30 pounds in the middle of winter. And then all of a sudden, they sold every one of them they had in a day, and they're like, let's go ahead and order a few more of those. And now we got them in square bills and axis baits. We got them in everything.
Everything. That's right.
we got Tiger Truce in every make and model now. There you go. Look at here. Flasher says, Frank the Tank, you welcome at the Whiskey Myers show anytime.
Oh.
There you go.
Hey, let's kick Livesey out. Bring me in.
Yeah.
Bring me in.
Let's take that sticker off Livesey's boat. Cannon, where you at, Cody Cannon? Take that sticker off Livesey's boat. Put one on Frank's boat.
That's right. That's right. I don't think Livesey's ever held a 243. I have.
That's literally shots fired.
That's shots fired.
In more ways than one.
I'm surprised my phone won't be ringing here in a
minute.
Yeah.
He'll get you. He'll get you. Boy, man, they like having Frank the Tank's a hit on here. People are asking you some questions. I like this. I guess that's what happens when you bring Elite Series champ on the show. Everybody wants to ask some questions. That's great. Frank, what's your top 3 baits for late winter fishing? This is going to be a top bait show. We might as well make a top bait show.
Top bait show, that's
top 3
right.
baits for late winter fishing.
Late winter fishing, number 1, a football jig. I love football, throwing a football jig when it's late winter. The suspending jerk bait's another great one. That's probably my second favorite. And honestly, I know a lot of people wait till, pre-spawn, early spring to break out the vibrating crankbait, but lipless crankbait.
Oh, no.
I mean,
no.
I think I've caught fish in 45-degree weather, water in it, and not an issue. They'll eat it. They will eat it.
Let's talk about a lipless crankbait for a little while.
Sure.
Because if you didn't grow up in Texas, but you lived here. How long you lived in Texas now?
Since 92, so that's like 30 years.
Since I was born. Not quite since I was born, but it's getting up there. Anyways, a lipless crankbait, if you live in Texas, if you fish in Texas for a long time, a lipless crankbait is about as close to being a year-round bait as you'll find without it being a year-round bait. It is a staple bait in the state of Texas. And really, I'll say the state of Texas, all across the South. Hang on a second, Frank. I got to get, there it is. I had a hole in my pocket. I had to shoot it out the other way. How about that?
You sure did. I've never seen one drop out the leg, but it did.
We got some. Don't worry about that. That's Secret Service stuff, man.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Don't be giving away all my secrets now, Frank.
Yes, sir.
Lipless crankbaits are not now. The Tiger Truce we just a minute ago I said I only throw that during pre-spawn. Lipless crankbaits in Texas are really a year-round bait. And we throw them a ton in the fall. That's one of the best baits you can throw.
I agree.
And really, we throw a lot of the shad patterns, but dude, like those orange patterns, now I don't throw the Tiger Truce so much because a lot of our water's clear in the fall, or clearer for that time of year, for normal. But like the kind of more translucent crawfish patterns are just kind of like a dull orange, like a natural crawfish pattern.
Yes.
We throw those red and orange traps in the fall, like right now. You can catch fish right now on Lake Fork on those crawfish pattern traps, and we're going to throw them throughout December. We're going to throw them all the way till spawn time, and even during spawn time. When we're done with that, dude, in May and June, we're going to throw shad pattern ones.
That's right.
Right?
And I think you hit it on the head. It's like you said, it's a year-round bait.
It is a year-round bait.
You just switch colors, throughout the year and depending on the water clarity, but more importantly, just the time of year. I mean, I'm not saying you can't catch a fish on a red lipless crankbait in June or July, because you can.
You could.
You could. But the odds are you're going to throw those shad pattern baits, And honestly, I don't get too elaborate, Billy. I get there's four colors I really throw. And one is, like you said, like that Tiger Truce for muddier, dingier water.
Real bright.
You're right. A red for like early pre-spawn, that type of stuff. And then I throw a gold black back and a blue or chrome blue back. That's all you.
That's all you need,
super,
man. Yeah.
Super crazy in doing it,
Talk to me about this for a minute, because everybody that I've talked to that has attained your level of success in world bass fishing, which means the best. You're in the Major League Baseball. You're in the National Football League of bass fishing. That's what the Bassmaster Elite Series is, and we have two now. We've got, to be fair, two Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour top level guys. Bassmaster Elite Series top level guys. We got two top tier guys. But when you attain that level, anybody that I've ever talked to or heard their interviews from that level, guys get bent out of shape about a color. Like, I got this June bug, but I need that red and green flake in it. I got this watermelon red, but add me a gold flake in it. And every one of you guys that I've ever talked to is like, man, give me green, pumpkin, black, and blue, and something that looks like a shed. You know what I mean? Like, talk to me about how simple you keep your colors in what is the misconception amongst a lot of fishermen out there about how important a certain little particular color is.
I know that, like, sometimes, anglers think that a color matters because they caught more on it that day, or their partner in the back of the boat caught more of it on it on a, let's use morning dawn, and they were throwing a green pumpkin. Nobody really looks into, was the guy in the back or the front of the boat that was catching them more? Was he throwing a different leader on his drop shot? Was he throwing a different size leader, different length leader, different weight, that type of stuff? That's more important, in my opinion, for fall rate and stuff than the color is. And I'm going to be honest with you, a good friend of mine, Clark Winlet, which dude's a 4-time Angler of the Year.
Oh,
I mean,
he's won Angler of the Year on like every tour that's ever existed.
Yeah, 3 in FLW and 1 on Bass on the Elites.
I don't know what the prehistoric dinosaurs. I don't know what their version of a bass was, but he won Angler of the Year on that tour too.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got a man that's amassed over $3 million in earnings.
Insane.
And he literally does exactly what you just said: green pumpkin, black with a blue flake, and some kind of shad color. And that's it. That's all it's in his boat. I told him one day, I said, hey, Clark, throw me one of them watermelon red flakes. What? He looked at me like I was speaking Chinese. Yeah, he's like, huh? And I'm like, he's like, dude, you got a choice between green pumpkin, black and blue, or some kind of it was just like salt and pepper with purple flake, and it smoked salt and pepper with purple flake. And he's like,
disco violet or something. Yeah.
He said, that's your choices, dude. Pick your poison. I'm like,
I got shad, I got black, I got green.
And then I said, okay, well, give me green pumpkin. Let me have some chartreuse dye. He said, I don't carry chartreuse dye. He said, there we go. He said, yeah, I mean, and you're talking about a man that's made a career 31 years on tour and been successful at it, not just kind of hung around. He's won.
This is what I always try to tell you. When people are, a lot of times on guide trips, people hire you to try to become a better fisherman. Mm-hmm. To learn a certain technique, learn the lake better, just learn more about fishing in general. Because we're fortunate enough as fishing guides to get to do it every day. So that's a big part of the equation when people hire guides. And when we're having this color conversation, guys, hey man, you ever throw this color? Hey man, anytime I'm talking to people about that and they're trying to learn, I'm like, listen man, I hear you. I get it. Sometimes I get caught up in it too. I do. But here's what you got to keep in mind. This is the perspective you need to understand. Color is the least important decision you make when you're picking a bait. Size, depth, speed, which you retrieve it, ratio, fall ratio, all this, line size, all of these things matter exponentially more than the color ever will. Like, you can have the perfect drop shot or the perfect Texas rig crawl bait that's going to catch them the very best that day, and it's some weird color, but the same exact presentation of a Texas rig crawl in black and blue is going to catch some too. It's probably going to catch pretty close to the same. A green pumpkin is probably going to catch the same amount as the best color would, with just maybe 1 or 2 bites exception. But if you change the weight size on that crawl, you're done.
You're done.
You might be done. Like, it might make that difference. Or if you change the size of profile or the size of hook or line, like those things
fall rate. Yeah, I mean,
are all so much more important. The color, while it can make a difference at times, is day in, day out by far the least important decision that you're going to make when it comes to picking your bait. So get some colors you have confidence in, roll with them. Here's what I always say too. I don't know that I'm fishing the right color with a green pumpkin. I know 100% I'm not fishing the wrong color.
Right.
I'm not going to not catch any because I use green pumpkin.
Well, in green, excuse me, green pumpkin is like, you can fish it in clear water, muddy water, stained. It don't matter. It's like the most perfect color for all water clarities. It really is. I mean, you can catch them anywhere and anything. But I'm guilty, Billy.
Yeah, we all think that one deal.
I was guilty earlier this year. Yeah. You were killing them sight fishing on a, if I'm not mistaken, a watermelon red stroker crawl.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
Bed fishing.
I do like a little red in my bed fishing.
In your bed fishing bait. I had to go get me some. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I had to go get me some. That's one thing everybody knows. I'm an honest person. I mean, I had to go buy me some. I'm not going to, Yeah. And I was like, I fished it, caught fish on it, no doubt. But I'm like, if I throw a green pumpkin stroker crawl, it's going to catch the same kind of fish. It's more about the size weight of what you were using.
Yes.
Whether you peg the sinker, don't peg the sinker. I know you put like a bead there.
Put a bead there, and I peg the bill, but I leave just a little gap so it can rattle the bead.
Rattle. Yeah. I'm a student of the sport. You're talking about a guy, that he's praising me being a professional, but yet I'm learning from him too. And
that's the cool part about this sport.
That's
too.
right.
We can all learn from each other. That's right. I learn from guys on here and suggestions they make at times. And
sure.
And that's what this channel's always been about. It's been about two things: loving our fellow man and helping each other catch more and bigger fish. And Frank, I think that's a pretty good button to tie it up with, man. You've done a hell of a job of doing that tonight. And you have fulfilled your Lake Fork Guide obligation of those two categories, my man. What you got in that cup?
That's honestly, they can see the smoke coming. It's just coffee, gentlemen. I'm a coffee drinker. Fitting to get in the spa behind us.
This is not coffee.
No.
This is whiskey.
That's yes. There's nothing wrong with that. I was on that earlier. It was my birthday today, so we had some.
That's right. We didn't even tell him it's Frank the Tank's birthday.
Hey, it wasn't about that. I didn't bring it up for that. I just brought it up for. I started earlier today on the whiskey, and so I better have me a cup of coffee, and so I can answer these questions out here.
Man, you did a great job. Dude, we appreciate you doing it tonight with us. You guys are going to see Frank on some more content. I'm sure we're going to get together and do these things again when he comes up north next year for the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's been some.
My eyes are blind.
There's been some. We got a few happy birthdays in here.
We appreciate
happy birthday,
Thank
happy
y'all.
birthday.
Thank y'all.
There you go.
But tune in. Excuse me, next week because he's gonna have some more top baits because things are changing this time of year. There's no doubt. More cold fronts, more bait changes.
And check this trophy out. Look, get it. Selfie time. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as always. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.
Peace.